Good evening. I'd like to welcome you and call the meeting of the Davidson County Board of Commissioners for Tuesday, September the 8th, 2020. And I'd like to call on Commissioner Shell to lead our invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Those who would. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as a family. We thank you, Father, for the many blessings that you have bestowed our way and the guidance that you have given the leaders and the commissioners, councilmen across this country to try to bring things to providing opportunities for our citizens so that all may it be elevated from the present stance. For we call upon your wisdom, your strength, and your guidance in helping us to make the proper decisions, the decisions that are right with you, decisions that are right for our citizens, and decisions that are right for this country. We pray for our country. We ask you to be with our leaders and guide them. For it is in his precious name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is it locked?
I'd like to welcome visitors and the sheriff and department heads and visitors, staff, and those that may be watching or zooming in. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Smith for a recognition.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the agenda this evening, you have an item related to the Department of Labor's 2019 Safety Achievement. Every year we go through the process of our SHARP Awards, I think is what they're called. Is that right, Dwayne? Am I getting that correct? Were these the SHARP Awards? Okay. Well, these are the 2019 awards, and we got one here for the County Manager's Office. I just want to read the criteria. No fatalities during the calendar year at the site or location for which the award was given. Maintain an incident rate at least 50% below the average for its particular industry group. And when applying for awards by department, it must have at least 10 full-time employees. There's a gold award. It's based on the days away, restricted transfer rate, which includes cases by of days away from work, restricted activity, or job transfer. And then there's a silver award that's a little bit of a lesser standard. Our gold awards for the year: County Manager's Office, Parks and Rec, Public Health, Transportation, Davidson Works, the elections folks, Senior Services, and 911. And our silver awards this year: inspections and libraries. So I just want to recognize all of those folks. I'm assuming they all received the same type of certificate our office did. So,
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners Crotts, Elliott, and McClure are unable to be with us tonight. May have a motion and second to excuse them.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Yates and Commissioner Truill.
Verbally, ma'am?
Okay. You going to roll call?
We don't need to, everyone's here.
That's right.
So I can do that.
Okay.
Commissioner Yates?
Aye.
Madam Chair?
Aye.
Mr. Truill?
Aye.
And Commissioner Shell? Thank you. That motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
To adopt the agenda, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve by Mr. Truill. Second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Shell. Please cast your vote. For public hearing, Part A, we have the 2021 schedule of values, standards, and rules. I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ward, if you're in the room, I can't, I'm
He
gonna
is.
come up real quick. Tonight is our scheduled public hearing to get, public input on our beginning part of our property reevaluation for 2021. So tonight you've got on the, public agenda for, or the public hearing part of the agenda for the schedule of values, standards, and rules. I don't know if Mr. Ward has, if you guys have any questions for him, he can go through those for you, at your leisure.
Anyone have any questions?
No questions here.
Okay. Okay. Please cast your vote. I guess I have to have a motion, don't I? Yes, I need a motion and a second.
We've got to conduct the public hearing.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right. Is there anyone here to speak? Mr. Hill? Mr. Hill? Join us. Skipped right over that.
Well, there it is,
That's
but
it.
there's less to it than meets the eye. We should refer to it as the schedule of values, standards, and rules. People who have to work with it every day shorten that to schedule of values. And for the rest of us, it's the appraiser's manual. 252 pages, divided into 12 chapters, but there is only one chapter that is specific to Davidson County, the 11th. There is only one page in that chapter that would probably interest most people, which is the model for single-family residential. And it starts with the base rate. And the base rate, as of now, is $67 per square foot. Under this, it would be $80 per square foot. Probably the best investment any taxpayer, ad valorem taxpayer can make is to go to the tax office and get your property record card. That will tell you how the tax office arrived at your values. It's got all kinds of construction detail on it. It's got a value of the land, all of the so-called auxiliary structures. It cost you 25 cents. But you won't find that number on there, the $67 or the $87 or the $80, because you will find the adjusted number, and it is adjusted by the actually you have two terms, the AYB and the EYB. The AYB is the actual year built, and the EYB is the effective year built. The AYB can be looked up and is right on the money. The EYB is purely subjective. That is one of the great faults in the appraiser's manual that I brought up every year that I've known anything about this, starting in 89, 97, 01, 07, 2015, and now here we are, going into our first 6-year cycle. Again, if you understand what it does, it tells you where you were placed in the depreciation schedule. How many years of depreciation you have, and you wanna have a lot of years of depreciation and no years of the fewest years of good that you can have. You've done something unfortunate since 2001, and Mr. McClure's been the main culprit. To teach people that only the rate has meaning. You've got two numbers there, the rate and the valuation. And I saw a lot of discussion about the back when you had the night that this was done, that this was decided in concept that you would get to a 6-year cycle. That somehow that magically gives you additional revenue. It doesn't. And you de-emphasize the valuation, and that lets you get the benefit of the rate, and you're always trying to keep from raising the rate, no matter what you do with the valuation. But it's all because you're so revenue hungry, and that's because you have no discipline with your spending. If you remember, that night was a very good example. You had the Senior Services Department came to you for a mural, and supposedly it was going to be locally generated, but then something came up. It was more convenient to do hire a vendor to do it, even though you found out that you were going to be using off of the shelf mundane decoration everybody else is using, and it's going to be expensive, and you could not resolve if it had to be removed whether it would damage the surface. But still, Mr. Shell complimented the department head on saving so much money on that item, but what you were doing was actually going to make you worse off. I have asked, starting with that night, what will be the cost of this revaluation? And I don't know whether it's the y'all don't know or you don't want to know, but I know that you don't want me to know, and I'm not satisfied with that. It is the price of deception, and we need to know what it is. I'm sure you'll hear me talking about this, many other times. But I would like to see an end to this cycle of deception. But I believe that's about enough of it for tonight.
Plenty.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Would anyone else like to speak to this point? Good evening.
I didn't realize that this would be a meeting that the public could speak at. But I take every opportunity to come before you all to speak on behalf of the statute. Don't ever want you to forget
This is
it, and we
public
will
hearing.
not allow
No.
you to forget it.
No,
So we
ma'am.
just want you all to realize that we're going on 100 days of standing up there with nothing happening. And we want something done. We are expecting our leaders and our county commissioners to do something. Thank you.
Thank you. This is not, just move on. Anyone else like to speak to the schedule adoption of the schedule of values, standards, and rules? I declare the public hearing closed. May I have a motion and second to schedule adoption of these values, standards, and rules?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we, adopt the schedule.
Commissioner Truitt makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Is Jerry not gonna?
If we've got any questions, Jerry,
I did have a
do you have
question
to
for Jerry.
come?
Okay.
Come on up.
Jerry, just a quick
Chair,
question.
Commissioners.
You know, Mr. Hill made some comments on there that are very relevant to what we're doing here. But, one thing I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, was that we're doing this for revenue production. I remember just a few years ago when we did this, we lost $1 million a year. So it's not necessarily that, it's based on the ASR ratio as comparison to other properties, like properties around. Am I correct on that?
What drives the revaluation is the sales ratio study, and the Department of Revenue actually audits us, how close to market value we are. And if they see we're, going below market value, we're supposed to be 100% of market value, they can call for reevaluation. And by law, that has to be done every 8 years. And they've advanced it to, they're trying to get to a 4-year cycle. We agreed to go to a 6-year cycle. And so it's, the reason to do a reval is mainly driven by Department of Revenue guidelines of the sales ratio study. We didn't just choose to do it whenever we want to, or because we need revenue.
Okay, but we stand to lose money is my point. Because Carteret County, for example, it was time for them to do theirs. They elected not to do it because they knew they were gonna lose money.
Mhm.
We're going ahead and doing this in fairness to our citizens. Am I wrong about that, or am I right?
Right, in 15, we did lose money because the market value went down.
Right.
And so we went, this kind of works in reverse cycle, and, the market values went down. And so that revaluation caused us to go down. What we're seeing now, the market value is increasing rapidly, and we're losing, that ratio, into marketplace. And if it falls below 90%, I think we're at 93 something now. And, you run the risk of losing that if you get down below 90%. They can step in, Department of Revenue, and demand that you do a revaluation. So we're trying to beat that.
Okay, I just trying to understand exactly how we came about this.
Yeah, it's, we've seen this sales ratio, I think when we looked at it, it was 94, and we were losing 2.5% a year. And, we decided we need to advance and go to 21 reval instead of 23, because we could fall below that 90%. We were getting real close, and we were trying to beat that, so that was the motivation for advancing the reval.
I got a question, Madam Chair. What is, you do most of this reval with staff, your own staff?
Yes, sir, we do it in-house.
What would you think the cost for that would be for Barney there? I heard him ask that question.
Actually, we have to fill out an AV-8 form for the Department of Revenue, every year, and I think Jane sets aside about $80,000 a year, I think.
Might be a little more this year, because we've approved the flyovers for the GIS.
Yeah, so,
Maybe, that's 75 right there, so I would add that as part of the cost as well.
And
I
that's,
don't have the form with me, but, I'm thinking that the cost of reval is around between $300,000 and $400,000. Still do the in-house. If you hired that out, it would cost you a couple $1 million probably.
so $300,000 or $400,000, that's for your staff, overtime, just,
Yeah.
what additional cost do you have?
Appraisals, we had to contract out, anything like that, so.
And the flowers, right?
And the flyovers.
And the flyer.
Yeah.
And the flyovers?
We save a lot of money doing it in-house. We went to in-house reval in '97 when I came aboard, and, it's worked out real well.
And the flyovers probably save us money, that beats man time going
Right.
to,
And getting into areas like that, the lake, that's a little tougher, and also makes it more, if you have, it's a more objective too, than having somebody do it, so. There's benefits all the way around to get that clean data.
And to follow up on Commissioner Yates's question, can we get those numbers to Mr. Hill, who has requested them?
Yeah, I can look up that AV-8 form that, I think it's submitted to Jane Carker, and it has that, I'll get to Barney.
Thank you.
it's probably really hard to track the exact cost, isn't it? Because
Yes, it is, because you have so many
I
factors.
don't know how much of somebody's time
Time is-
devoted to the, you kind of have to use percentages and a round number, but.
But a good guesstimate in your head's $300,000 to $400,000
Yeah,
probably.
and I think that's what the, AV-8 will show, somewhere around, it's several $100,000, but that's a lot less than,
Couple million.
but, yeah, mhm.
Thank
Sir,
you.
do we plan on staying on the 6-year cycle now?
The Department of Revenue would like for everybody to get a 4-year cycle, and, the way to do that is through aerial photography and speeding up the process. So we're making the right moves, and we'll be ready to get to that, a 4-year cycle if we have to. Right now, the Department of Revenue, they don't mandate it, they recommend it. And it's again, it's driven by sales ratio. If you start, drifting away from, that market, that 100% of market rule, they don't like that, whether you over-assess or under-assess, they audit every assessment we do through that sales ratio study, so.
Second, Madam Chair. There's no other question.
Have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
And this is set it for September 22nd, correct, for adoption? All of the votes are in. Motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
All right. We have a rezoning request by Philip and Deborah Brown in Reedy Creek Township containing 2.825 more or less acres from RA3 to CULI. I declare the public hearing open, and Mr. Cornman, I'll call on you.
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 tonight, but the first one that we're going to hear is a request by Philip and Deborah Brown to rezone the property in Reedy Creek Township, tax map 14 being a portion of lot 18B containing 2.825 acres more or less. Property is located on the north side of Friendship Church Road, approximately 600 feet west of the Old Mill Farm Road intersection. Rezoning is requested to change from that of RA3 Rural Agriculture agricultural district to that of conditional use LI limited industrial district. This is a quasi judicial matter, so we'll need to swear in anyone who wishes to speak in favor or against the application. We'll need to get the Bibles out.
Okay.
Mr. Brown here. You'll come up and swear in.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you shall give to the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Mr. Hill, you affirm that the testimony you are about to give, if any, will be the truth and nothing but the truth, but there is only one who can know the whole truth?
Mr. Brown?
Okay, I would like to tell the board that the planning board did meet on this on August the 18th. Their recommendation was 5-0 to recommend approval. They did make one recommendation in his set of conditions that he'll explain to you here. He's had asked for up to potentially 15 full-time employees for future expansion. But the number two of his condition is for 10 employees working at the facility at a time, so they recommended upping it to 15. Not that he'll have that many there, but in case he needed to have it. And what he's planning on doing is, and he'll explain this, is he has a candle making business, and he's been currently working in his basement, and he plans to build a building at this particular site that you see crosshatched in yellow on Friendship Church Road. And this is sort of catty-cornered. You see the CUHI on your zoning map, and that was the future site of a peak time for a gas-fired energy producing facility that the North Carolina Electric Membership Co-op was planning at one time, and that is still in their name, and they just have left it there in case they would ever need that. It just never came to fruition, but it was zoned probably 15 years ago by the sitting board at the time. But this is kind of a rural agricultural area, scattered home sites, but that's why we suggested that you go conditional use.
Mr. Brown, would you share with us and explain your request?
Sure. My wife and I started making scented candles and wax melts in our basement in 2013. We originally were going to craft shows and festivals. We did the barbecue festival several times, Thomasville, Everyone's Day, all the local craft shows and festivals. Then we started selling online, and that's become the growth part of our business. That's all we do now is we sell online. We've got our own website. We sell on a website called Etsy, and we sell on Amazon. Over the years, it went from kind of a side business to we were not able to keep up with our orders. We've got 4 or 5 part-time employees that work for us now, and the business has outgrown our home. I've got 6 pallets of jars in my garage right now. And so we need, in order to be able to continue to grow, we need to be able to build a building. This site is about 3 miles from where we currently live. We've got a contract to purchase the 14 acres. Our plan is to build a building for the business, but we also plan to build a home and to have space that our son and daughter can both build homes there at some point.
you wanna talk about your site plan, we have a pointer here if you wanna point out some things there if you.
Okay, well, this is, Friendship Church Road. This entire area here is wooded except for a small space right there, and we plan to keep that wooded. This lot here is also entirely wooded and, uninhabited. Most all of this area is wooded or farmland, but really the only place that you can see this site from the road is, through this little, gap right here. There is a piece of land here with a home, that I've spoke with the homeowner, and he had no issues with our plan and what we were doing. That's the only person from a home that could see our site and our building. Our plan is to build a small building. We've got a plan for a 4,800 square foot building, so we're not talking about a large factory or anything. And we would put up vegetation to help shield the building from, local sight.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
You said that your business now is, online and with Amazon and.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you planning on continuing that, or are you gonna do some retail there also?
No, we have no plans to do any retail there. Our plans are to sell online.
Makes it a whole lot easier, don't it?
It does. And we never, when we started the business, even when we started selling online, I really didn't think that people would buy candles online because you can't smell them and the shipping costs as much as the candle does. But, it turns out they do.
Do you have room for expansion of that facility that you're planning on?
On our drawing for our site plan, we've got a 60 by 80 building planned to be 4,800 square foot, and then we kinda drew in the possibility there of doubling that at some point.
Now, the recommended number of employees, that's based on what you're gonna build, not including the expansion, correct?
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay.
You have the list of conditions there in front of you, and there they are on the screen. And you can see the plan board recommended up to 15 instead of 10.
They recommended.
This time, that would entail a separate motion, would it not?
Yeah, that'll come when you look at the permit itself.
Okay.
That's all I got, thank you.
Anybody have anything else?
I'm fine,
Are you okay?
I'm good with the 15 employees also, or.
That's fine with me as well. Is,
If you can, one thing, if you can expand, as he's got set there, why would you limit him as to how many employees he would have? Let him make that call. He's the businessman who has the investment. Why would you limit that at all? To me, 2 and 3 needs to go, and let him make that decision. He knows what's best for his business.
I'd say the only reason you would limit it a little bit, Steve, would be is you wouldn't want 200 employees out there in the residential area.
If he's that kind of an entrepreneur, he don't need to be out there to begin with.
I agree, but I'm just saying, so you probably gotta cap it somewhere.
I just believe our citizens are better than that. I think government gets way involved in stuff they don't need to be involved in.
I mean, where I would vote for you to have 20 employees, I probably wouldn't vote for you to have 200 in this area because it's mostly residential. That's just.
And I understand that was our concern, was that there would be concerns about traffic and that kind of thing. But if y'all would allow us to, change that to 20 employees, again, that would give us, more room to grow.
And I'm good with the 20, but the only thing I'm saying, Commissioner Shell, is just, if you get up to where you need 150 employees, you probably need to be
Well, we
somewhere.
would not be there.
right.
I went back in their terms of 100 employees. I'm
Yeah.
talking about simple math, 120.
This is not an area where we're actually promoting industrial
Right,
development,
right.
because we don't have the infrastructure out there to support that.
Whatever Mr. Brown's happy with, I'm okay with it, but I just think it's getting to the point of being ridiculous. The government's got the thumb and everything, and I'm just about fed up with it, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. Let's see if there's anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either in favor of or opposition. Mr. Hill?
you just mentioned, the planning board recommended, actually letting him have more employees than he had been willing to accept, and deleting that other condition. I'm curious about whether, could the applicant have avoided conditional use altogether by opting for general use with development standards?
Not with development standards. He could have just asked for a general district request if he wanted to.
How about if you look at, 1.06, section 1.06, subsection I, manufacturing, light processing, or fabrication.
What page you on?
It is on page 6, Roman numeral 6, -3.
Dash what? 3.
I know there was considerable talk when the zoning ordinance was being revised, how much latitude you would get out of the development standards, and I thought this was a good example. You don't need it for this one, but it might come up at another time.
Yes, sir. And we're working on conditional zoning for changes for the future, but we're still operating under the conditional use.
It says, under capital, letter I, Arabic numeral 1, actually these are under, manufacturing, light processing, or fabrication. Operation shall not create smoke fumes, noise, odor, or dust that is detrimental to health, safety, or general welfare of the community, and he passes that with
Yeah.
Number 2, location of such facilities shall depend upon issuance of necessary water and waste treatment permits from the Davidson County Health Department, which I don't think you have any problem there either. I just wanted to bring something up because I know there was so much talk of that, development standards. The applicants have amply demonstrated the viability of their business. That's why they are seeking more spacious quarters to house it. The new metal building probably will be the most attractive structure in the neighborhood. Too bad that it will be stuck so far back in the woods that nobody will ever see it. Also, there will be no audible clues about what's going on inside. Can there be any manufacturer more silent than the manufacturer of candles? According to the Christophers, if everyone lit just one little candle, what a bright world this would be. But you can't light them if you don't have them. A candle per capita, that's a lot of candles. Approve the request and let the applicant get back to work.
Mr. Chairman, if I just want to clarify one, Mr. Brown, the 15 employees, is that for the existing structure that you're building now? Is that what is allowable in that existing structure that you're gonna be building, not counting what you could add on?
You wanna help him?
That just cost you.
So, are you asking with the 15 people?
You got room for expansion, okay? So what you're gonna have now, is that what the 15 employees, would that hold the 15 employees? Or is the 15 employees including if you decide to expand? I just wanna make sure you got what you need and 15's enough if you decide to expand. Mr. Yates, I think you said it'd be all right with 25.
Or 20.
If that's what you need.
I'll take
Now's the time we need to do it.
I'll take it as many as I can get. I mean, the future is cloudy to me, and I haven't done this before. Right? I'm a quality engineer. I work at ASCO Power in Welcome. This was a side business for us that has grown a lot more than what we ever thought. We did not plan to ever have any employees to start off with. Would we ever need more than 15 or 20 employees? I don't have the answer to that question. If we were ever to challenge Yankee Candle, obviously we would not be at this site. We would need some other sites. So I would like as much leniency as I could get in terms of employees, because I don't know what we might need in the future, understanding that you don't want to overrun of traffic and people in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And he can always come back later and ask for more.
That's right.
Certainly.
That's right. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of or against this request? Mr. Brown, do you have anything else you'd like to add, or are you good? Okay. Mr. Cornman?
Okay, well, what you need to look at first is the, legislative side of it, and, staff would recommend to you that policies 1.2, 1.4, 1.7, and 1.8, and policy 4.5 of the land development plan, lend support to the proposed, rezoning of this property to, limited industrial, and I would suggest that Friendship Ledford Road, being a collector road that it is, could handle the proposed traffic at this point in time, with the number of employees that he has suggested here in the near future anyway. So, we would recommend that, it be approved, Madam Chairman, so, we support the application.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve it with up to 25 employees.
Have a motion for up to 25. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Shell?
This was just for to allow to go to LI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be the.
Right. Okay.
You're right. Sorry.
Okay.
We're getting there, we're not quite there
Yeah,
yet.
I'm jumping ahead of the game, sorry about that. I'll make a motion, we approve, his, rezoning from
Conditional.
RA3 to CULI.
Okay. All right.
Put that on the list and to adopt the resolution on statement of consistency.
Yes.
Statement of consistency, yep. So there's your motion.
Okay. So we have a motion. And a second. Okay. Cast your vote. All right.
You hit that button again.
I'm gonna hit that button all the time.
All of the votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Now, Mr. Corn?
Okay, again, you have your list of conditions, for the proposed conditional use permit. That it will include the manufacture of scented home products only, no more than, we'll say, 25 employees working at the facility at a time. Currently 6 part-time employees, utilizing a combination of part-time and full-time employees. This could grow up to the equivalent of, we'll say, 25 full-time employees based on hours worked. Building to remain set back and largely hidden from the road, utilizing the combination of existing vegetation and his proposed additional landscaping, and that the building that he will erect will blend in with the existing area. and that there'd be minimal lighting for security purposes on the outside of the building. And I would also ask that you include the site plan that he's presented to be a part of this conditional use permit, so that we'll have something to look at in years come ahead. And you have an opinion from a real estate appraiser, I believe, in your packet of information that says that this should not impact the surrounding property values.
Mr. Corman, number 3, are we not going to follow the recommendation of the planning board?
What I was trying to say, I included that it'd be up to, I think they recommended,
Removal.
okay, to remove, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
They was just trying to incorporate the 25 or whatever, but I don't see no reason for number 3 in there either, so
Okay.
just remove it.
Thank you, Doug.
I'll make a motion, we approve the amended, conditions with 25 being noted for maximum employees.
Okay, we have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your vote.
And I hope he's back in about 2 years, Commissioner Shell, wanting a place for 200 employees.
That would be great.
All of those votes are yes. And that motion carries by a vote 4-0.
Hope you continue to grow.
Bring us some samples next time, so we advertise your product. We'll buy them, we're not asking for free, just.
All right, we're gonna move to a rezoning request in the Cotton Grove Township. I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Cornman?
Yes, the next item that you have is a request by Henry T. Phillips III to rezone property located in Cotton Grove Township, tax map 33A, block 26, lot 1, containing 1.17 acres, more or less. Property is located on the south side of Avenue K, approximately 760 feet east of the NC Highway 8 intersection. Rezoning is requested to change from that of HC Highway Commercial District to RM1 Medium Density Residential District. The recommendation of the board at their meeting on August the 18th was to recommend approval of the request. What you see is highlighted in yellow there on Avenue K. Josh, if you want to point that out. It is directly behind some mini storage warehouse units that actually front the Highway 8. And then a couple years ago, the board will remember Cecil Evans, who was in front of the board, who was working with his son to get lot number 9 that was zoned I believe that was zoned highway commercial as well, and it was for an automotive. He had antique cars that he wanted to work on and restore in that building. He has not built that as of yet, but I think Josh, when he went down to actually post the property, I think they had started something down there. But he was notified of the meeting and hearing and so forth. But
Mr. Phillips here. You
want to come on up and tell him what you'd like to use the property for?
Actually, me and my girlfriend are wanting to build a home there and start a family.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we've been looking at that property.
It would be considered down zoning, and it shouldn't have any impact if he wants to build his house at that location. That's fine with us because it's not impacting in a negative way.
Okay.
Do you realize you're gonna be beside a car lot?
But I love working on cars anyhow, so.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm good with it.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either in favor of or opposition? Mr. Hill?
The market has been tested, and there is no appetite for HC uses on the subject property. It is only logical that the parcel reverts to the RM1 it were comfortably before 2017. I have never known you to reject a voluntary down zoning, and I hope you don't start tonight.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Boardman, the staff recommendation?
Yeah, we would recommend approval because it is contiguous to the existing RM1, and there are some scattered home sites in that area existing already.
Declare public hearing closed. May I have a motion and second to approve or deny?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Trull, second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Yates. Please cast your vote. Okay, try again.
Thank you. All votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Madam Chair, I need to get Mr. Brown, do you have a website? I've been summoned already to get a website for your candles by my text. Just makes sense.
There you go, it's on the screen right there, Todd.
Okay.
Makes, okay.
Thank you very much. We'll try to spend local.
All right. Now we have a rezoning request, in the Conrad Hill Township. I declare the public hearing open. Mr. Cornman.
Yes, you have a request by Timothy Beck to rezone property located in Conrad Hill Township, tax map 4 being a portion of lot 24C containing 69/100ths of an acre more or less. Property is located on the east side of Primrose Drive, directly south of the East Holly Grove Road intersection. Rezoning is requested to change from RA3 Rural Agricultural District to CURC Conditional Use Rural Commercial District. And this property had previously actually has a little building on it, and years ago it was used for a hairstyling shop. So it's already got the building on it. Some of you may be familiar with this location. I'm not sure what's going on with our zoning map up there, but it's what's highlighted in yellow. You may want to look at your map in your agenda packet. But there are some existing commercial uses scattered about in the area. This is the little connector street between East Highway 64, which is our corridor of economic opportunity, and of course you're familiar with Holly Grove Road, which is a major collector road. But my understanding is Mr. Beck would like to lease this building out to a hairstylist, and I believe she's here tonight too to speak in favor of the request, Marley Dietz. And I think you had her letter in your application.
Where's this building at, guy?
It's actually on the property. You can't see it, but if you look at your aerial in your agenda packet, there is a small building kind of in the northwest corner of the property.
Okay. I was trying to get my bearings right, what it's close to.
Can you give us any bearings on?
Here's that might be a little bit better.
Okay.
This, close to you, that, I'm sorry, Commissioner Yates, that metal fabrication and the little car dealership.
Right.
That's that metal fabrication place.
Okay.
So you're.
So it's at the, I got you, so it's a
It's a small brick structure that sits right there at that intersection.
okay. Now I know where it's at, I just couldn't picture it in my head for some
Yeah.
reason. I was backwards, so it's on the Holly Grove and Penn.
It's on the Holly
Holly
Grove
Grove.
side, yes, sir.
Okay, do we need to swear in?
Yes, because it is a conditional use, I've been probably talking too much. You should have slapped me. Anyone that wants to speak? You wanna come up?
Gotta swear in on.
Well, you've got to go over here, you have to swear in first.
The mic, please.
Yeah, come put your hand on the bottom, put your hand on his face.
Ready? Do you swear that the testimony you shall give to the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Okay, my name's, Tim Beck, and I own that.
Wait just a minute.
Okay.
We're doing swearing in him just a minute.
Mr. Hill, you affirm that the testimony you are about to give, if any, will be the truth and nothing but the truth, that there is only one who can know the whole truth.
Yes, we do.
Okay, sorry about that. My name's Tim Beck, and I own that piece of property on 266 Primrose. And it was my grandmother's beauty shop in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And the building's been sitting for probably 20-some years. And, actually, we've been working on the property, and the property's way nicer than it's ever been. And, I'd just like to lease it out, if possible.
Now I've got it in my head because I drive that road all the time. I saw the work. Okay, questions by the board?
I'm good.
Okay. No questions? Anyone in the audience who wishes to speak either in favor of or opposition to this request?
The staff recommendation cites policies 5.4 and 5.6 only. The planning board recommendation and your statement of consistency cite policies 1.5, 1.7, and 1.8 only. If all of those citations are valid, that they all ought to be included. The last two bullet points in the list of conditions are powerful arguments in favor of the request. They just aren't conditions. If you see those, what they're talking about is the location of the building. And it does make a good argument for the approval of the request, but they are not conditions. I hope it doesn't make any difference, but, I want, the applicant to get all the, benefit of what's there on paper, and I think they actually push it over the line, but they are not agreeing to conditions. Okay. And, this woman's, grandmother's crowd, when we lie in the old hair salon.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak either in favor of or opposition? Any other questions for the applicant? Mr. Cornman?
We would concur with Mr. Hill that you could include policies 1.5, 1.7, and 1.8 in your consistency statement, along with what I've, included in, in the one that you have in front of you. But it's also at the intersection of a connector road and a collector road, so this would be where we'd want commercial development to occur. And it'll, again, provide a service, to the, neighborhood residents out there, so, we would recommend approval.
No further questions. I declare the public hearing closed. May I have a motion and second to either approve or deny this rezoning request?
Make a motion, we approve, Madam Chair.
Have a motion? Have a second?
So,
Have a second? Please cast your vote.
Okay.
All of the votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, and then with respect to the, conditional use permit, the list of conditions are that the property at 266 Primrose Drive will be used as a hair salon as it once was, that there'll be only 2 changes on the exterior of the building, adding a handicapped accessible parking and ramp entry, and adding a driveway for business parking. And everything will remain structurally the same with this building, with no additional plans to add or expand or create bigger space. The hours of operations will be Tuesday through Friday from 10 to 5:30, with occasional Saturdays from 9 to 1. And then the hairstylist will be the only person using the building, which will keep the flow of traffic manageable. And the other 2 are more or less statements as to why she feels that the application would be a good fit for the neighborhood. But
Can you put those up on the bigger screen or?
yes,
Page 378, Madam Clerk.
That's a little bit better.
That's it.
Yeah,
Can you see a little bit better?
just a little concerned about the hours. What was it, 10 to 5:30?
yeah, she's the one that actually proposed these hours. We didn't have any. These were the hours that she wanted to
Yeah, I got you.
operate.
You good with those hours? Yeah, but I'm saying 5:30, I mean, is that late enough in
Late
the
enough?
afternoon?
What if you decided you wanna go to 8? This would restrict you from doing that. I think she ought to be able to set the hours she wants once again. I just think it's gets to the point where we're interfering with the business. Everyone putting their blood, sweat, and tears in this business, and I just think we're interfering with their right. I understand we gotta protect the surrounding areas, but, I mean, a hair salon, you're not gonna have that kind of traffic and that kind of problem. But it's whatever the board, and if she's happy with that, fine, but I just don't see restricting her.
We're saying that we're willing to let you have longer hours if you request it.
I would say 9 to 7. Does that sound pretty good?
Okay.
That should be Monday through Saturday too.
And Saturday as well.
9 to 7. That way, if you wanna get up a little earlier, you can. Okay.
We can change that.
Anything else, anybody see in those, conditions that?
Would you all like to have the last 2 stricken from what's in the conditional use permit?
I don't think they need to be there, do you all? I mean, they're just.
If I could read them from here.
They're not really conditions, they're just statements, yeah.
The last one is the location of this building allows me to see surrounding neighbors' property and will allow me to help monitor any suspicious activity in the area. And the last one is the location of this salon will bring my clients passing by different businesses, helping promote growth or success to these commercial businesses.
Yeah, you can scratch those too, I don't see.
They don't really change things.
It's not a condition, as Barney mentioned.
I agree with that, but I do have one more question, if y'all decided on those 2. Are you gonna have any, is the building big enough for you to put on some help?
No.
That's not part of the plan.
Well, that's not part of this, but what is in your future?
Being by myself.
Always.
Working on my own.
No assistant, no nail, the person, okay, if you're happy with that, I'm happy with it.
Mr. Shell, it's a tiny building.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I caught that too. It looks like she may have a little bit of room to expand there. I guess it's .69 acres, is that right? Is that right, Guy?
6,900s.
Yeah. 6,900 of an acre, so there's a little bit of room there, but not much for.
She's gonna be limited with her septic system as to what she can do out there.
Okay, good deal.
All right, may I have a motion and second to approve the conditional use permit?
Motion, Madam Chair.
Motion? Got a second? Please cast your vote. Good luck.
Thank you, that concludes it.
All of the votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Don't go ahead.
Hold it, man.
All right, let's take a look at the consent agenda. Are there any items to remove from the consent agenda for discussion? May I have a motion and second to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chairman, make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Please cast your vote.
Mr. Shell, you're awful quiet down there tonight.
Oh, I missed one? I'm
You
sorry.
missed one.
He's too quiet.
The dog was being quiet, so I want your dog checked.
He's missing his buddy.
All of the votes are in, and that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
I think you may be on it, Don. That may be the reason.
That's it.
He won't change seats with him.
What'd he say?
May want to change seats. Okay, for deliberation, first of all, we have a proclamation for Constitution Week. I'll call on Commissioner Shell to read this proclamation.
Proclamation Constitution Week 2020. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government and a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17th, 2020 marks the 233rd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas it is the privilege and duty of the American people to commemorate the 232nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America with appropriate ceremonies and activities, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now therefore, the Davis County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and urge all citizens of Davis County to study the Constitution and reflect on the privilege of being an American with all the rights and responsibilities which that privilege involves. This the 8th day of September, 2020.
Thank you, sir. May I have a motion and a second to adopt this proclamation?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Seconds, please cast your vote.
Had to be quick, Don.
I know. All right.
All of those votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
All right, we have a commendation. I'd like to call Captain Stephanie Murphy and the Sheriff Simmons, to lead this off.
Murphy's not gonna be with us tonight.
Sheriff, I think Mr. James may have a copy of what's in the agenda, so you know who all the people are. Because some of his folks are in it too.
That's what, it was about half of the sheriff's office, we were all there that day. Some had other roles, but different roles, but, on Old Greensboro Road, or Old Greensboro Street, involving, it come in as a domestic, and we were all responded. The mother had called in, and I think it was going to be a worse situation. The mother decided to call us instead of call. We responded to that, went to the front door, couldn't get in the barricaded door, went to the back door, hit the back door open, and 2 shots were fired at that time involving a 2-year-old. And the suspect died on the scene. The 2-year-old was still living. When our deputies got to the 2-year-old, performed CPR, brought it out to the EMS, and that's when they were involved with us to keep the 2-year-old alive, which it's a tough situation for everybody involved. But we appreciate you recognizing all of those that were there. Seems like it's an everyday thing for all of our first responders. It's been a tough year. It's been a very, very tough year for everyone involved. But we do appreciate the recognition.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve this commendation to be issued to the individuals involved in this incident?
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Yates moves. Second.
I'll second.
Commissioner Truitt, please cast your vote.
How many of these will go out? Anybody know?
There are, this is the list.
Do you have the names? Would it be all right to announce those names? Okay, will you read those for us?
With the Sheriff's Office, Detective Ken Smith, Deputy Ruta Hoover, Lieutenant Chris Stillwell, Deputy Scott Leonard. Deputy Scott Leonard is the deputy who performed CPR on the child, the child. Deputy Caleb Forrest, Deputy Derek James, Corporal Adam Glee, Lieutenant Bobby Welch, Lieutenant Jeremy Parks, Sergeant Jonathan Todd, Detective David Blake, Sergeant Michael Herbert, Deputy Savannah Barrett, Deputy Anthony Rebello, Sergeant Clayton Dagenhart, Corporal Charles Clifford, Deputy Tyler Everhart, Retired Sergeant Tony Young, Deputy Nicholas Matthews, Deputy Robert Boggs, Deputy Shane Hill, Corporal Leland McKnight, Detective Dakota Dennis, Captain Mike Burns, Deputy Jason Gibby, Deputy Nicholas Oakley. Lexington Police Department, Captain Michael Hunt, EMS, Captain Ron Leonard, Lieutenant Clarence Hicks, Paramedic Renee Green, EMT Avery Payne, Paramedic Josh Rice, Paramedic Jane Jones.
Thank you.
Good deal, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff, would you pass on our appreciation to all those?
I certainly will, and like I said before, I appreciate you recognizing, tough calls, that we do on a regular basis, that's for sure. And good relationship, it's nice to be recognized.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0. And I'd already said something to Stephanie and to Larry about trying to get some pictures as these commendations are given out.
Okay. Good. All right, item number C, Mr. Smith is going to talk about the proposed reinstatement of annual pay increases.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a handout. I would
Okay.
ask Mr. Shell here if I can.
Just one sheet, I think. Gosh, those chairs.
If we got any extras, just let them over. I'll pick them up, Debbie will want one for the minutes as well. We don't have a, Chris usually sitting right on the edge, so he's able to hand them out. You guys remember back in the budget, we removed the pay raises for employees, as did a lot of organizations developing the budget in the spring, as we have to do by law, as you all know, come every May. In taking a look at where we finished the year in FY20, which ended in June 30, and remember what we were really particularly eyeballing was sales tax collections. A big part of our revenue source that it just is fairly fickle in terms of it's based on consumer spending habits. So we've seen that data now to end the year for FY20. I've gotten a glimpse of it, so I know where we've landed. And COVID did not take as big a bite out of the sales tax as we thought. So we had a pretty good year ending FY20. You know, remember when I do pay raises, you know, I build that as part of the budget with things covering revenue sources, covering those options. And then we always, particularly in some years, you know, we overcollect or we underspend, and that's what helps us fund largely in the county our capital program. We do a lot of cash in this county. We don't take out a lot of debt for things. So that's how we're able to move forward with big projects, buy police cars, do roofs at Cecil School, back up 911 centers, et cetera, because we're able to, you know, watch what we spend our funds on. So that gets back to a long speech about pay raises. So with that being said, you know, with the revenues being there, and I feel pretty good going into this year, the start of this fiscal year, we won't see any more reduction than we should have saw when the lockdowns occurred. I'm proposing we put the pay raises back to what I had included as of April, when I had the budget balanced the first time, which is the 501.7% we spoke of at the retreat. That's only 0.2 basis points more than what we had in the last fiscal year, which was 501.5%. That translates to the sheet here, and what you're staring at is by fund, by department, and probably what your eyeballs want to see, I'll go to the back page in a minute, I'll show you the total, but the overall change for the county, remember, it's a little weird when you do it like this, where you mix match the dollars and the percent. Folks that make lower amount of money actually get a bigger percentage size of the raise, and that's by design. We push more of that down to the lower end paid positions in the county. So it looks like if there's someone making $80,000 here on a bar and someone making 20, the 20 is going to get a bigger pay raise. The overall in the county is 3. This 1.7 and 500 equals to 3 overall, which is a nice round number, kind of what we always have been shooting for here lately. What it also does, if you remember the 1.7 and only moving the grades 1%, and those of you two from the DSS board remember this, we only move the grades by 1%, less than that 1.7. It also helps those folks with compression issues moving down horizontally through the pay ranges. I hear that quite often. I think I proved it to the DSS board, and I proved it to myself. I got folks that work here that get the raise, and then somebody comes in and gets hired, and there's not much spread in between the two of them. So then moving the grades by a lesser percentage than the raise will help with that. It will push, theoretically, what it does for John Q. employee, and again, it's theoretically, pay grade number 69 in our pay plan is dead in the center. That person ought to land on their midpoint at year 15 of a 30-year career, and that's what that does mathematically, hence the reason why we picked that number. So if you flip to the back side and get to the grand total here. So to do all this, and I think we go through this every year at the retreat as well, we are talking a big dollar amount. And so what I'm proposing here is to budget part of the sales tax. I have the sales tax at about $20 million even base for the county. So we would be going about 21 and some change here in a minute, because I also want to use the same source for police cars. But there you can see the variety of funds chipping in, because all of it ain't general fund, but the majority of it is, and then we'll make an adjustment to the workers' comp fund. But that's it, Madam Chair. I'm asking that we reinstate those pay raises for employees, with that average being 3%, effective the next pay cycle. We're in the middle of one now, so we can't turn it loose right here in the middle.
Okay.
So the highest change is about 3%, a little over 3%.
The average is 3 countywide. With your eyes, if you look down the right-hand side, you can see the bigger change amounts. And it's the ones that have smaller salaries. So in your department, if you have, and that could be based on tenure or the type of position, but the bigger the percentage, you have lower, either have newer faces coming in that, make less funds than somebody been here a long time, or the type of position. But the overall average is 3, just right around 3. It's like 3.03.
Yep.
Right. And some departments are a little lower. Staff that's been here a long time or staff that's in different type of positions, whether they make more or less, that could be a lower percentage.
Most of it's gonna be the average median income and below, right? The biggest percentage-wise is gonna be that.
Individually, right.
Yeah.
You have folks in this county that say a custodian position that makes $25,000 a year. Their pay increase on this could be top out at 4% or slightly more, whereas I'm gonna get the less percentage in the entire county. And again, we started that a few years ago. Remember, some of you have been on this board a while. We had that conversation, I'd say 5 years ago now, where we had the 1/5, 1/10 conversation, which we all knew cost a lot. And what it did was basically it pushed people from minimum to midpoint very quickly, so that they slow down thereafter. And this does something very similar. The problem is as I spoke to the DSS board last summer, I did catch on to, after doing the math and kind of looking at a variety of pay grades, folks were right in the sense of they come in, they start working, they go through the pay cycles, and they say they don't move jobs, they're just moving horizontally through grade 68 or whatever. Someone else gets hired in, they're not moving fast enough away from that person. You know what I mean? The gap between them is not very wide. So, and when pay, there's no easy way out. You have compression issues no matter what you do, as I told the DSS board that day. You either have to fix folks going horizontally this way, or folks between the pay grades. We've been working a lot this way. I want to work a little bit this way. I don't have an easy answer, but that will help. Moving the grades a little bit less percentage than 1.7 will help. Now, what it could do, and we'll just have to see, it could affect recruiting. You're not moving the grades up, the starting point's as high. That's what the pay study's for. The pay study trues that up, but you do that every 2 or 3 years. So it's kind of, you can't win with pay, you're always making adjustments if you want to keep compression out.
Looks good to me.
All right. Any other questions? May I have a motion and second to amend the budget and reinstate the annual pay increases and COLA?
Madam Chair, I can make this easy. If you don't want to rattle off all these numbers, if we can amend the budget based on the plan here, this is the budget amendment Jane's going to use, basically. That's why I made it this way.
Okay.
It's got all the part-time staff and everything all in on one place. So if we want to amend the budget by the 109,980, that'll cover all funds, including the general fund and everybody's source.
Okay. So there's your number. Do you have motion and second?
Madam Chairman, I'll make the motion.
Have a motion from Commissioner Truitt. Second.
Second.
Commissioner Yates.
Pretty low.
I knew you were still reading, I just left.
I was still reading.
All of the votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
right, I'm gonna turn it back over to Mr. Smith to talk about patrol cars and ambulances.
Same premise, same source of funds. With the sales tax here, I wanna reinstate putting the purchase of the police vehicles. Every year I do about 14 vehicles, and I end up picking the worst 14 in terms of mileage or whether they're lemons. And the sheriff's office has at least 14 that are 195,000 and above. I'm tapping into the ones that are getting close to 200,000 miles. I always do 2 ambulances and 1 remount. This budget year, I pulled 1 ambulance out. So I'd like to reinstate those. I'm not asking for any addition. I'm just putting it back to where I had it in April. Confident again, I feel pretty good about sales tax numbers now and moving forward. That'll get us back in our rotation of doing 14, which if we fall out, thanks to COVID, I think Tim out of our office kind of ran the rabbit talking to folks over at the sheriff's office. It appears that either Dodge or Ford got behind making vehicles in production, so everybody that's got funds are going to go buy them from one dealer, and we could have a supply issue. So I didn't want to wait too much longer into October and November to pull the trigger and try to buy these other 7. We put 7 in the budget, so we went ahead and bought those. This puts us back on our schedule, particularly the ambulances too. So
Putting these in, how long will it take to get these now? I mean,
I think it's a few
not
weeks.
too late.
The sheriff would have to help me. They've got to be dressed out. They've got to have the lights and bars and things like that.
It's not too late to bid it out, is it?
No, we've got time to get these cars now, but we need to act now, in order to get the bid. Last year, there was a little bit more trouble getting, because Dodge had problems with their cars. It's not gonna be quite as bad, but we need to move with them.
On that equipment, Casey, don't we have someone that we put on internally that can do what the sheriff needs done?
Yeah, I think across the street over there, they're talking about Rob's, our guy that does the lights and stuff. I think they might be able to help him over there. Has he been helping you with the bars and lights?
Helps some, but
He's still a one-man show, and that's another one where, one of these days when we get around to life as normal, that was part of the budget as well, is getting him some help. Because he mans the radio maintenance and all that stuff and runs the system out of there, but also installs the lights in the bars, so.
And who is it working on the radio systems? With Franks? Was that one of them? What was his name? Jim.
Yeah, Jim across the street. And he's got that bay over there that he can do the bars and lights. I don't know if he can dress out 14 of them, by himself, because I think you got to do a lot of detail work inside them cars. We may have to use somebody to get them done for now till we get Jim some complete help.
Have you already got?
the cars here's the main thing.
So we need to get the cars here, so that we got them, we bought them.
Have you already got to 7?
No, they hadn't been delivered yet. We order them now, and then they'll deliver them the first of the year.
What does it cost you to get these cars, I guess the equipment transferred from one car to, is that what you do, take your lights and stuff off of one, put them on another one, or you just buy all new stuff?
We can, some cases as they're wore out. Major Miller, I wish I could have had him here today. That's what he does for us. Is one of
If it's usable stuff, unless it's been destroyed or something like that, I think they try to use the best they can.
I would take it the lights and stuff still ought to be in probably pretty good shape, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and the radios, in most cases.
Good deal.
Radio's fairly new now, aren't they, Sheriff?
Oh, yeah.
We push cars around here just as we do county vehicles. I mean, in a former life in another place I worked, we tried to replace patrol vehicles at every 100,000 miles. That may be generous. To me, it was. 200 is probably pushing it. And we've got at least 14 that are approaching 200. Most of them are already over. So we're replacing the worst of the worst, if that makes sense, in terms of high mileage vehicles.
Well, I think times are changed. 200,000 miles now is the old 100,000, right? Is that a good statement to say? I know my vehicles are a lot better built.
Some of it's patrol vehicles where you're stomping and starting on gas and brakes, a little more hard miles in terms of just casual driving.
Wear out, and 200,000, and the way we drive them at times can be very dangerous.
I thought my guys was rougher on them than your guys, and we get about 200 on the construction sites, so, they're in the floor and.
That's true. On construction sites,
like I
pretty
said,
hard
they're built
living.
so much better today than they were. You take 10 years ago, me trying to get one over 100,000 miles is about just slap wore out, But now I'm very impressed with what's on the market. So I'm surprised you hadn't seen a increase in the durability of them.
I mean, at 100+ miles an hour sometimes, I mean, we drive them at extraordinary speeds and extraordinary ways, depending on what type of car we're on. You know, we like to keep them as new as possible, but, you know, when we're going across, you know, making trips to Wilmington and stuff like this with mental patients and stuff going to hospitals, we make a lot of trips.
Puts a lot of miles on those vehicles.
So, Todd, what you said is true. You know, it used to be 100,000 miles, you wore it out, but now that's broke in for
That is broke in now, yeah. For most, anyhow.
They get Dodges.
I think we're going with the Ford SUVs, and we're getting a lot more room than
Yeah.
and they run very well. Get a lot of good luck out of them.
Yeah.
You do your decal work locally, don't you? The decal work, is it done locally?
Yes.
I thought it was.
Sounds good to me then.
Okay.
So you get to go for another year for.
This will put him back on the cycle. When we get into this year's budget, we'll try it again, assuming this virus doesn't hang around and keep doing anything. We'll go back with 14. We try to. When I got here, it was about. I think it was either 10 or 11. So every year we've kind of inched up one, or you know. I think the goal was to try to get to 20 one day, but it takes every car at 30 to 40,000. If you put bars on them and lights. When you get time to balance the budget, that's a make or break deal. So you add one in when you can.
I was just looking a while ago. You got 135 employees. Is that right?
I've got more than
That's what's on this right here.
And it's in a particular division. He's got SROs, detention. You talking about just in the sheriff admin?
Yeah, that was in the sheriff admin. I was looking for the rest of them. So how many do you have total?
Cars or?
No, well, cars and people.
I mean, with office board, I'm a little over 200.
That's what I thought, about 200 employees, so.
You got detention at the top, of course, I don't know that all of them have vehicles, but you got the SROs right there in the middle, that's 15.
We have about 100.
And then you got the K-9 folks, the animal control folks, of course, they drive their own trucks. They got a vehicle though.
What do you got, how many vehicles?
We have about 155 vehicles.
155.
I have a question about, SUVs versus just regular patrol cars and the gas mileage. Is there a lot of difference or a little bit of difference? Cause I know my SUV is, 16 miles, to the gallon, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's coordinated, how much you have to get into them.
Yeah. So there's not much difference.
Those big motors in those cars can get about 16, about the same thing, yeah. I remember back in '75, when we got Chevrolets, you check the gas and fill the oil up. That's how bad they were. Suspension just lay over on you.
Let me ask you this, how much do you spend now for gas? Do you know a month or a case, do you know that figure?
In a year, we spent almost $1 million, about 900.
For the sheriff's department?
No, grand total.
I'm talking about for the sheriff's department, we have that.
Hold on a second, I can pull it, go ahead with more, I can find it just a second.
The reason I asked, that ought to have went down.
It has, it's gone down over time.
From the $4 a gallon to the $2 that we're paying now.
Mm-hmm.
We should be paying probably less than that.
I'm just saying, what we're paying at the pump, so from 3 or 4 years ago.
I mean, FY9, yeah, around 950,000.
So it hasn't changed a whole lot? Oh, 950 for them?
That's gone down from well over $1 million a few years ago.
Well, it should have been, because the gas was $4 a gallon.
Another reason to replace cars, to get better mileage at first, while we're not using and abusing them.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, may I have a motion and second to approve the purchases of these vehicles and the appropriation of funds as requested.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Have a motion here.
Second.
And a second.
Put me $1 wherever you want.
All of the votes are in. And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you.
All right, item number E, Health Department, Mr. Smith.
I'm gonna ask Lillian to come in for this one, but I may not need her. The Health Department has received, another addendum agreement from state funds from the CARES Act, for just over $200,000. If you remember at the previous meeting, we approved another addendum, same source of funds at the federal level, but a different addendum agreement. This one here is a little bit different in the sense of no staff, no tracing, et cetera. It's more to replace equipment, medical grade refrigerator, coolers, PPEs, some tent equipment, et cetera. Stuff we can use no matter what kind of situation we're in, whether it's COVID or whatever else. But one interesting piece is to set aside some funds to do rapid testing in the jail upon entry. We've had a couple of cases up there now, and so instead of using that, what our plan is to let the state give us some funds through Lillian to go up and do mass testing over a day, day and a half, 2-day period in the entire jail. So we know what our baseline number is. We know how many we have. And then from there, we've got a segregation plan. We look at the schematics of the jail. We know the layout, sat with the sheriff's staff, Lillian, myself, and we kind of know, okay, this is our game plan if we have 90 cases or if we got 5. And so we'll know the baseline, and then upon entry, do the rapid testing, not the PCR, not the, well, I don't know if it's swab, I don't know if it's nasal, but it's fast. You get the results quicker, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? So instead of waiting 2 days, because you can't wait 2 days, we process 100 people a week on average in the jail, so we can't wait 2 days to get results. So we're going to set aside some funds out of this addendum agreement here, and what we've done is added up at $25 a test, times 100 people, times this many weeks through December. This is the plan to go through the end of the year as long as these funds are available, is pull some funds out of this to set aside to do that.
That's the intake test.
Yeah, right. So we'll know upon entry if somebody refuses, they go into mandatory quarantine or lockdown, and they get showers, and that's it. They don't get to participate much of nothing else. But we feel like that's the best plan moving forward for the jail to know where we stand in terms of the virus creeping around. We have not had cases prior to here recently, so knock on wood, we've been lucky, but we're not going to continue to allow that luck to run thin.
So let me ask you this, if you put somebody in quarantine that either don't test or he tests positive, or don't test, and you got him in quarantine, and 12 days later you put somebody in there that does have COVID-19. So where does that start the original person that's been in there 12 days already? Because now he's just
staggering. We call it the staggering plan. So.
Commissioner Yates, you're absolutely right. We early identified that would be an issue when we're talking about sort of a revolving door. So the kind of plan that we're looking at right now is either you're COVID or you're not COVID for your stay in the jail. Reinfection is not an issue within the first 12 weeks from what they're seeing. So if an individual tests positive and day 20 they're introduced to another positive individual, there's not a risk for reinfection on that person.
I'm talking about the guy that ain't never been infected that you put in there because he wouldn't take the test.
Those people don't get put into the same place in this plan. They would be held in a different space, and we're hoping that there are not many of those. Y'all probably know a little bit more about the jail than I do. I have limited experience, but we did go through with maps and look at it, and we talked about how that would work out for individuals who refuse testing. And it looks very different for them. They would not, like you said, they wouldn't be able to be put back in with somebody at a different time, so.
Was the sheriff part of that discussion?
His staff, Major.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And D.D. Sprinkle, Captain Sprinkle came on.
Okay.
And it took a little while to figure out what our scenario, because we don't know until we mass test. We may get lucky and mass test. Again, the state sending in the supplies. And at first we thought that's how this whole thing would work. They would simply, because we're congregate living, they would give us all the supplies, and it really wouldn't have to even run through the board in terms of appropriating funds. That's not going to be the case when we go to kind of test upon entry. They'll give us the stuff for the mass, and then we'll know our baseline. If we've got 5, then we're in good shape. We can segregate 5 fairly easy. I'm just using that as a round number, and then we'll be able to process these upon entry pretty quickly.
But if you pay for the initial test, you can recoup that loss later on, can't you?
Commissioner Shell, we wouldn't be paying for the original test. We have talked with the state lab, and they're willing to accept the original test on this baseline. What I haven't had a chance to touch base with the manager about is that we're still in development with the state, trying to understand exactly how the intake testing will work. There's a whole system of things. I've put requests in trying to figure out if they have it's called a CLIA waiver to talk about their testing, and we're still waiting
Still
for
waiting
that
for the
answer.
order. You gotta get the order straightened out with the physician and Southern Health
Straightened out.
Partners,
It's
right?
not simple, but we, again, early identified, if we test everyone, because we've had some positive tests, and we identify a baseline, and we know who's positive, who's negative, well, it doesn't do us much good if we're bringing these folks in and we don't know their status. So we've got to be able to maintain this. I can tell you that we have been very fortunate in Davidson County with no cases till now. And that is not the case everywhere. We're just trying to get on the front end of this. So I commend the sheriff's office for looking at this and saying, we do have an issue. Manager Smith came and talked with us, and so I think we're all kind of thinking that this is the way it needs to go, and it should run smoothly. Again, the issue with people refusing testing will be an issue because there's just not the space, and that's why we're at this juncture. That's why we're here talking to you, because when folks come in, the sheriff's office does not have the space in the jail to quarantine them for 2 weeks and then put them into population. Unless, if we would isolate people and there would be the space and we know what they are, but in a perfect world, we would have plenty of space. When somebody comes in, we wouldn't have to test them. We just keep them by themselves for 2 weeks. They don't show symptoms, they go into general population, but we just don't have that kind of space with the intake numbers that they're talking about.
This is a good time to do it while the intake is down.
So we will
Don't wanna do
do
this when there's
intake
400 inmates
the inmate comes into the jail.
That's the plan. Again, we're waiting for the
All right,
state to
now
give the green light on that.
Who does the testing?
That's why we're waiting for the state, because, Southern Health Partners provides jail nursing, and the oversight for that program. So our hope is that the state lab will say, yes, they have that waiver, those nurses can do it, because we do not have the manpower as a health department to do that. And just based on the sheer hours that people are coming in, the way that this would work would be somebody comes in, it would be part of their booking. They would just get the swab, we'd know in 15, 20 minutes, and then we'd know how to direct them once they get into the jail.
So you mean to tell me the state hadn't come up with any type of platform to test prisoners at this point in time?
They have for the state prisons, not for the local jails. And when we asked why they haven't done that, they explained 100 counties, 100 sheriffs, and they will answer questions, but they don't have statewide guidance for local county jails because of the politics of the different sheriffs.
When they're 7 months into this, and
Yes, sir, I understand your frustration. It would be really great if we had that system in place.
If you receive some written guidelines, that'd be nice too, wouldn't it? But you're not gonna receive that from the state.
It's been difficult, and that's what I said. I sat in a meeting last week, and we asked some very specific questions, and have not received it in writing. So we're flying and trying to get it taken care of, but what's really great, I just want to share with y'all, is that your staff here in Davidson County are trying to do the right thing, and we're trying to work together to make sure that we're protecting Davidson County and Davidson County citizens, because people come in the jail and they leave the jail. And so, it's just, and then we'll see them wherever, so.
If they don't give those nurses authority, you got a mess on your hands.
You are right, so.
Because that defendant, is entitled to immediate release upon, I know about that stuff. And, you can't just hold him because you wanna hold him, not you, but you know what I'm talking about. And so if that nurse is not giving that credibility,
But we could
you got
always
problems.
go back to our federal funds and give Lillian staff to do it for some interim period of time.
Because you may not have to do it one day, or
That's
may
a
not have
direct
to do
COVID.
that.
But you gotta be on call 24 hours a day, because they could be in there anytime.
Right.
You sure do.
what, out of the 100 counties, how many's testing?
So right now, I know that Alamance County just got in ahead of us asking the state lab for this permission, so they're doing it. Randolph County's doing it. Randolph County's doing it in a different way. They're using the CARES Act funds, and they're using a private lab. It costs about $100 a test. I think you can be sure it's very, very hard pill to swallow. They're using the private group Mako to do it in Randolph. They're doing the intake. And Alamance is on board. Those are our neighbors. As far as other counties, I'm not exactly sure. I I think the way that, I'm sorry.
So if you're asking the state for guidelines on how to do this, how is Alamance and Randolph going ahead and doing testing without any type of guidelines?
The public health department made that decision, and they have that authority to work with the sheriff's office or the jail to do that.
And they got 99, right? That's what I read, they had 99 positive
I heard
cases.
90-plus cases.
I don't know that.
Positives, anyway.
Alamance County. So my question was with Casey, if we'd called down there and asked them how they handled it, if they got 99 cases, surely they had to figure out a way to handle quarantine and some logistics of this, I'd think, you know,
I think Major Craven and them talked to those folks down there in Guilford County. I don't wanna give away all the schematics of the jail and the details, but we got a quarantine plan for
Well, I don't
light.
want to either, but I wanna talk to somebody that just went through 99 positive cases.
But we
to
came up
see
with a
if-
plan, light, medium, bad.
See if they can help us any, maybe we didn't think of everything, you know?
Well, that's what we did, yeah.
So you called them?
Like Craven and them did, I didn't, I let them do that, they run the jail.
Okay.
You're doing a good job.
Excellent.
I appreciate y'all's support and standing on and trying for everybody, but we're really, I can assure you, our team is trying very, very hard, not only to make y'all proud, but to do right by the citizens, so thank you for your support.
So, do you have any idea when you may test the 200 people that's there now?
So there's, you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg. In this case, I've asked for recommendations about how we should go about procuring the rapid test, because it doesn't make much sense to do our testing event and then have people coming in and not know where they are. So we have to get this rapid test ordered and in-house ready to go. We're shooting for a time within the next couple of weeks. The sheriff's office has asked that we keep that date, not open because of you're gonna be moving a lot of people, so they want to keep that date kind of under wraps. Of course, I'm sure that in a closed session, the manager can tell you all about that, but it's just not something that we want the public to know.
The reason I ask, it sounds like Alamance has already decided to test through their health department. They're not waiting on the state for guidance, and is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir, and we're waiting on the state for a couple of things. Number one, I don't know what they're doing about the intake in Alamance. I have no idea. Again, if their jail is set up that they can hold people longer, they can do the test that we already have access to that takes the 2 to 3 days to get the results out. So I've not talked with them about that. What I'm waiting on from the state is recommendation for the antigen test, that's the rapid one. Recommendation on the best way to get that and the best source, because I don't want to get the worst one in here for us. I'd like to get it something that's going to work. And number two, I'm waiting to see if our jail and Southern Health Partners has that release from the nurses to actually perform the test, which then would turn into us getting a standing order. We've talked with the physician that oversees the jail. He's willing to work with us on that. But we need to know what tests we're getting so we write all the details correctly. As far as how you handle it in the jail, Alamance has made that decision on their own. What Alamance asked the state for and got ahead of us on was that the state lab would run their initial baseline for the entire population. They said that we were the second request and they expect to see more. Randolph didn't use the state lab, they used that private company at $100 a pop.
I'm not so sure Alamance got ahead of us. Well, now stop and think. We've had one. They've had 20, so they could have had 10 before they made a move.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure. We're acting on one, and we don't know how many they had before they acted, you know.
We really didn't have the need.
But they're a good source to find out. What did you do? Tell me how you handle this, you know.
We just don't have the room to start the 2-day waiting period. You know, we just don't have the ability to wait that long. That's why the antigen tests are the way for us, because we can't wait 3 days for results. With 100 coming in, you know, it's not gonna work.
No, we don't need to wait. We need to have something in place.
And if, this is, like I said, it's a good time to do it with no, with our jail numbers being a little bit lower because court not functioning, you know, at 100%. So.
Well, you know, for one thing, I think we should have been checking intakes a long time ago.
But we're lucky.
Yeah, we're lucky.
We've talked about, we're lucky.
I know.
I think they were checking temperatures and stuff and symptoms, you know, but yeah, this is a move to a little bit different place that we can get a little more assurance, at least till December anyway.
Was he active or he's not sick or he's just in quarantine, right? The one we got?
I believe that he's been transferred out. but-
I don't know. I'd have to
So
find
he's
out.
been cleared or?
There was some in isolation, because then there were some close contacts, so, you know.
Oh, okay,
So
yeah,
there was a whole
okay.
group of folks that got moved,
There was some staff that's
Yeah,
in
gotcha,
as well.
gotcha.
Right.
so they're doing, I tell you what, they're doing the best that I could ask of them, so really thankful for that.
And that's where we'd like to have some guidance from the state originally. What do you do with somebody that tests positive? Can you transport him? Do
You
you,
can't get an answer from the state
Right.
about anything, yeah, especially you're not getting nothing in writing. You just won't. And that, you know, that's been going on for years and years and years.
again, I'm not holding you. I just would have thought the state would have said, you know, we got jails in ever how many counties we got them in. Here's what you need to do. You need to be testing upon, arrival and, you know, like I say, when you transport them, where do you go? Do you carry a positive case to some other jail and let them spread it around in that jail?
Too many questions, not enough answers in writing. The jail is a great conversation, the school systems are a great conversation too. There's some guidance on those, but it's still not point specific, so it's just very difficult to get that. But I think the state is also considering too that a lot of jails have different, capacities. And so it's hard to make a one-size-fits-all plan.
Okay. All the questions from me, thank you.
May I have a motion and second to approve this agreement addendum?
Motion approved, agreement with addendum.
Commissioner Toole, do I have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Shield, please cast your vote.
So do you know if they still checking temperature now upon arrival?
And the temperature.
And they were actually gonna add that question about, which I guess you're doing it at self-reporting, but have you had a positive test, I guess, from the facility you are coming from?
Yeah.
To the questionnaire upon entry. So hopefully we know, you know, if you come from another place, did you have a positive result? How long ago was it, et cetera?
Isn't there, you try to get information from the state health facility, right? What about the inspectors? Have anybody tried to do, the jail inspectors? Surely they got to have some kind of guidelines.
Most likely back to Lillian's folks, cause they might wanna steer clear of any guidance
I
about.
guarantee they wanna steer clear. That's why they keep doing this year after year after year.
But, you know, the state, this is congregate living, and they just now, maybe a month ago got it, or so, how long ago has it been that they had the guidance on assisted living centers?
There was guidance initially, but there have been changes and more significant, more direct.
Particularly related to testing. It didn't come into play until later in the game, so, I think she's right. I think a lot of jails are gonna end up at this place, local jails, you know, not the prison system, the state prison system, but local jails. They're gonna end up having to do something.
It's frustrating. It's gotta be frustrating for the health departments across states because you can't get a direct answer
You're
from
not
nobody.
frustrated, are you?
So who tests in the state prisons? Would it be the local health department in that? I didn't think so.
So we have prisons here, they have had positive cases. We were made aware of it, but we did not go on site. We were made aware because those individuals are Davidson County residents. So by our system, we get the information, so we made the call, we talked with them about it, but the state handles all of that. In the same way that in our local jail, our health department staff does the inspection of the jail. They do the environmental health, there. At the prison, it's state staff that does that, so it's completely separate.
Commissioner, you may have seen in the press that there is pending litigation against the state for its response to coronavirus in the state prison system. And just in the last week, Lillian has had to respond to discovery with regard to the health department's experience in Davidson County with our prison unit here.
Good information, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank y'all very much. Y'all stay safe. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
We have the PPE business grant, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hope this is brief. We've got, our PPE grant that we've run twice now. We've gone through, I think, about 300,000 of the 5. So we got basically 200,000 left. There's some payouts that have gone, but that's what's committed, 300,000. We've helped about, 80-plus businesses, as a result of this with some of their PPE and safety needs, sanitizer, things like that. What we're requesting is, to go ahead and run this program, not for a duration of a couple of weeks now. Let's run it one more time through the 1st of December and let it go. Tim's got a good handle on it. He's paid up to date and kind of got a process for how to go through it. So let's, if y'all don't mind, let's open it back up. We had a pretty good response the second time, and I know some of you all have people call you about it. And so maybe just now, that second time, the word got out a little bit more. We'll pump it out to the Facebook page, but I'd like to run it if I can to December 1st.
And we don't, just for record, we don't go out and solicit these businesses.
No.
We just put the website out there, they
Offer it
contact us, they do an
right.
application, and then
Right.
those funds are available.
All right, motion and second to approve this reopening of PPE business grant program. Got a motion? Second? Don, you want a second?
Okay. Second.
Thank you.
And that motion carries by a vote of 4-0.
Motion to close session.
Motion, second. Second to close session. Mr. Chair? Verbal. Aye.
Don, I can't even hardly give you a month.
Well, I'm everything. I'm seconding so many. One buttons out.
I guess I can say second, I second.
All in favor?
All in favor.
What? Where you at?
You're so funny. I know you were.
He and I were trading messages.
Pardon me, sir. You sent the one? No, I got 3.
Yes, hi, this is Jason Martin over at Davidson County. I was calling for Mr. Hill. He's ready for his ride. Uh-huh. Okay. Yes. No problem.
What our council recommends is to have settlement.
Charlie got a sign out there that says, something out there that says, don't pick up stuff?
I don't know, we're, Christy and I are actually going out to the landfill on Thursday to that specific location. But I know they do a lot of training with their employees, so
Right.
she knew. Oh, well.
Yeah. I'll see you. Thank you.
Short term,
Thank you for opening the door for me. I know ladies are first. I gotta roll. I get these legs rolling, I gotta get.
the computer back up, we'll be ready to roll. Oh, yeah, look, they turned it off to where it doesn't go to sleep anymore.
$9.5 million for gas, $950,000 for gas.
Do we get any tax back on the gas here?
Okay.
No, the gas tax goes to the state.
Audio's back on.
And it's
Okay.
feds.
Motion to return.
Second.
Mr. Fry?
Madam Chair, there were three matters that were considered by the board in closed session under attorney-client privilege. The first, the board gave counsel direction for further negotiation. The second matter was for informational purposes only, and the third matter was for informational purposes only. Thank you.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Aye.